On today's show, the guys talk with David Graham of Code Ninjas. We've got an East Initiative update. The guys are back from FETC. All of that and more up next on EduTechGuys. You're listening to the EduTechGuys. EduTechGuys.com. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm David Henderson.
Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We took a little break, actually.
No, we took a long break.
Okay, fine. We took a long break.
We're not going to soften this one for you. We took a long break. It was we had gone to a conference and
Yeah, we didn't get back on the train after we jumped off.
We had a lot of stuff going down and a lot of interviews at the conference and, workshops and sessions and lions and tigers and bears. It was rough. It was rough on us.
It was.
Yeah. There was no yellow brick road involved in this one, let me tell you. No, it's just we've been on the road. We've been doing some stuff. But we're glad to be back, and we know you're glad to have us. So reach out to us on the web, google.com. Look up EduTechGuys. You're going to find us. And don't forget to visit us at our website, edutechguys.com, or on social media. Yes, I've had a little caffeine. I don't usually
had a little something.
I haven't had caffeine in some time, and I had some caffeine.
I see that.
I just realized that's what's wrong with me.
I see that now. Yeah,
my voice has even changed a little bit. It's like a little bit higher pitched or something.
I think it's the speed at which things are coming out. It's also raising the octaves. I don't know, or octane, one of the two. So there you go.
We got a great show today. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, man.
I think you're going to really like David Graham with Code Ninjas and what they have to offer in the form of education, and programming, and logic learning, problem solving. And
in addition to all the stuff they're teaching the students that they have, or the children that they teach coding to, we actually kind of sidetracked him into a conversation about actually franchise opportunities and that kind of stuff. So, hey, even if you're not necessarily interested in Code Ninjas as a place to send your kids, or maybe if you would like to take part in that, I don't know, maybe you'd be interested in joining their freaking ever-growing number of centers that they've got around.
Yeah.
But anyway, either way, it's a really cool conversation.
Yeah, and like I said, we're glad to be back. The caffeine's really kicked in. I'll say that 5 more times before we actually jump out to the interview.
Yeah, we were at FETC down in Orlando, and I want to thank those folks down there for hooking us up, bring us down there, and also want to thank Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative who helped foot the bill to get us down there, and we ended up talking with I think just over 60 participants and presenters and vendors. I mean, it was a whole bunch of folks. Some folks that we've known for several years. Some folks that this is the first time we had a chance to talk to them. So yeah, some new friends.
And then we did 3 sessions, so we had a good time. We went to Dr. Howie DeBlasi. We did a podcasting session with him, and then we did some other ones on Internet of Things.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of fun putting stuff in the cloud.
Yeah, and so after that was actually that was a lot of work.
Yeah, we didn't realize what we
were chomping into when we signed up. Of course, it's one of those things where, and we learned this a lot from a lot of the people that we talked to. You submit multiple sessions, hoping they'll pick one, and it sounds like this year, I mean, they picked a ton of the ones that a lot of people were presenting. I mean, we talked to folks who were presenting 10 and 12 sessions.
Yeah.
So, we were there doing our interviews, and then the 3 sessions that we had.
We had to run across literally half a mile, maybe a mile.
It was the entire length
of the
OCCC.
If you've ever been there, it's massive.
It's a lot like running through O'Hare.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was really crazy.
But man, we had a great time, and we're getting ready to head up to Chicago in a couple of weeks. Actually, I guess it's about a week and a half now.
Yeah, heading to ICE.
Yeah, up in Schaumburg, technically.
Schaumburg.
Yeah, going to head up there and take part in the ICE conference that they have up there.
Okay, let's get right to the interview because it's a good one. So let's take a listen. Hope you like this. After a quick break, we're going to listen to David Graham with Code Ninjas. We'll be right back.
I've been in education for more than 20 years, and I've seen the challenges some students have to face every day, whether it's going to school hungry or not being able to see a doctor when they're sick. These challenges make it hard for kids to focus on learning. Thankfully, Concordia University in Portland is leading the way with their 3 to PhD program that helps to combat students' fears, freeing them to pursue their highest dreams. They're revolutionizing education by creating a holistic model that provides groceries, healthcare, and even clothing to students right there on campus, helping them thrive and helping our communities strengthen and grow. Concordia's College of Education offers online and on-campus programs where students have the opportunity to learn about a more compassionate approach to education and to see how nurturing the whole student can lead to amazing things. To learn more about how you can help students conquer their monsters and achieve their highest dreams, visit cu-portland.edu/letsconquer. #nurture, educate, grow.
Hey, welcome back to the EduTech Guys. We're really excited to have our guest today on the show. We're going to let him tell us who he is and where he's from and all that kind of good stuff. So here we go.
Hey guys, David Graham here. I'm from Code Ninjas. Code Ninjas is the largest and fastest growing kids coding school in the world. We've had a good run here. We started about in 2016. In the last couple of years, we have built up what is about 380 different locations in 2 countries in U.S. and Canada. So fast expansion. And I think what happened there was we hit on a good product at the right time. A great product, great team, great timing kind of thing. I mean, everybody from, Mark Zuckerberg to the guys at Apple to everybody that you talk to says, hey, kids need to learn how to code. The automation is coming. The wave of the future is upon us,
Yeah.
Some really weird statistics out there, like 2035, 30% of the jobs that existed don't even exist today.
Right.
So, they're going to be creating this wealth of new job opportunity for kids, and the public education system just isn't doing it. They're not making it to the next step. So that's where we fill in the blank. And a lot of people, like, the next step would be what happens when the public education does catch up, right? I mean, that's what the natural next question is.
Sure.
And we think that we still augment in a better way, because just like math is taught in, outside of the school in tutoring centers, we'll be the de facto coding education for the whole family outside of the school.
Sure. So
that was kind of the idea and why we came to the premise. Longer story is I taught adults how to code and they don't listen. So I thought I'd give it a shot with kids.
So you thought adults don't listen. Surely kids are going to listen.
You know what? I found out it was absolutely right.
Yeah.
Kids listen a lot better than adults.
Well, that is true. I would give you that.
Between like 7 and 14 years old. I always say anybody over 14 and anybody under 6 or 7 doesn't listen anymore because they think they know everything. But there's a sweet spot right there in the middle before they become a teenager where they just soak it up. They become just immersed in knowledge gaining. And it's a fun time.
Yeah.
You can say, you know what, the sky is blue to a kid. And they're like, yeah, the sky is blue. You tell that to an adult and they're like, well, at dusk, it's kind of reddish orange.
Right.
It depends on what time of day. So we've been programmed over time to be critical thinkers, right? And that's great. But kids need that one little time in their life, learn some great stuff. And I think that's what we do so well.
Well, so since you've kind of danced all around it, is that the primary focus of the age group of when you're talking about coding for kids, you're talking about that particular age range?
That's correct. So we definitely started out in a 7 to 14 age bracket. What I felt like, and I told all of our franchisees, is let's be amazing at that. Let's get our communities involved. Let's go into schools. Let's go into youth group organizations, your churches, your libraries in your local market, and be the de facto place that you go to bring your kids 7 to 14. Then if everybody wants to learn, we're the place to go. So we've already built the trust in the communities, and that's why this year we're actually going to be introducing a 14 and over program as well called Codemasters.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Well, so along those lines, one of the things that I kind of run into just working with educators, and you may or may not know, Arkansas's governor has made a huge push for coding in the state of Arkansas. And one of the things that I have found that's kind of interesting to me is folks seem to tend to aim their curriculum toward an age level or a grade level rather than the actual know-how level. That is, so just because a student is, say, 16 or 17, that doesn't automatically mean, oh, well, we can throw them into Python. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think some of that is just going to go to cognitive abilities, especially in video game development, which was what we focus on to keep kids engaged. They build their own games. And that's kind of, I think, a similar MO for most people that teach kids is that keep them involved and keep them in doing something they want to do. There's some petty math in there. I don't remember the last time I took a, dot matrix problem and graphed it out on the board, but 3-dimensional ray casting and stuff, it gets kind of crazy. So there's a certain amount of just pure empirical knowledge horsepower that you need kind of to get the job done. Mm-hmm. And then then there's some stuff that we can obfuscate from the kids and you give them some tools to make it look like they're doing the whole job and we're doing it on the back end. So I think you do have to kind of dissect your target a little more acutely, because in computer science, you get very, very heady very quick, right? I mean,
sure.
It's a pretty deep topic. And we want to, we don't want to be superficial. I don't want these guys to be, an inch deep and a mile wide. I want them to go full into the deep end of the pool eventually, but we got to walk them step by step. And I think that's what, our program, our drop-in program goes from white belt to black belt. And I think that naturally kind of everybody knows what that is, right? As I'm saying it, you're like, yeah,
right, exactly, yeah.
Everybody knows what that means. So you can start out as an 8-year-old and take a few years, and by the time you're 12 or 13 years old, your advancement, your horsepower has been revved up, and then we can get into some really cool topics. And you had fun the whole time,
right?
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there definitely is a discipline where you have to slow it down where it needs to be slowed down, but still hit the great logical topics. So it's also like you mentioned Python. It's a very popular term. If you'd asked, if somebody had said, what's the best language to learn 10 years ago, they'd have said Ruby. Mm-hmm. But nobody talks about Ruby anymore.
It's off the rails.
So there's always a fad language out there or something that's on the top of your minds. Yeah. But what you got to realize is we're not teaching kids a language.
Right.
Teaching them how to think.
Yeah. And
that's a much more powerful, it's like the adage of teach a man a fish kind of thing or whatever.
Yep.
We're teaching them how to think and solve logic problems using a tool called programming.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I never heard anybody, a carpenter saying, man, I got to start using a hammer more often.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Right. It's like hammers are for a specific thing. You don't go walking around looking for nails. When I have a nail, I need the hammer. And it's exactly the same thing. Python is great for specific purposes, but in general, it's just a tool.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. As is the myriad of other languages out there.
Every language. Yeah. Right. Every language. Yeah.
So I'm going to run back to something you were talking about, white belt to black belt. Let's talk about the pace you see in these kids. It's much greater, isn't it? I mean, the speed that you can run through this. How quick are you guys seeing? Because you're seeing this data. Are you seeing them moving at a much quicker pace and learning problem solving? I like to think of that's what you're training kids to do. Be a problem solver.
That's exactly what we do. And we want to do it in a fun way. It's called like chocolate covered broccoli or something. Now that I've said that out loud, it's not very. But,
you might want to work on your analogies.
Birthday cake, something like that.
There you go.
Yes, they definitely advance, but we geared our program so that every belt takes about 3 months.
Okay.
So we may reiterate over the same topics through some of the belts, but we change the tool. And that's part of the cool thing is you remember how you thought to learn back in white belt using blocks and we were just dragging and dropping? It's the same things, except now you need to use the keyboard.
Okay.
And the mouse.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, you would think, kids today, they know how to use a computer. It's absolutely false.
Oh, yeah.
Because the kids today were the iPad generation.
Mm-hmm.
My son has asked me numerous times, and he's a very bright kid, what kind of tablet did you have when you were a kid, Dad? I'm like, dude, the iPad came out the year before you were born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they don't get it. He's
Yeah.
12 years old. He still doesn't understand. Like, there was a time before touchpads.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I tell kids all the time, I had a
Just
big
getting
chief
into
tablet. So
the concepts of using the keyboard, because programmers use keyboards, is a big step.
Yeah.
Right. And then they find all the weird characters in there too, because programmers are nerdy like that. We used every key on the keyboard and plus the shift key.
So,
Yes,
so the
yes.
cool thing about Code Ninjas is that a parent can go right now and sign their kids up to to do this, but individually. What do you guys offer in the form of for education entities that say we want to offer this in school as a class?
Yeah, so that's on a location by location basis. But what we effectively do is we can run a series of 1-week camps where the topic changes every week, up to about 12 to 15 weeks, depending on the school district and everything.
Uh-huh.
And some of the school districts, are year round, and that works out real well. So we can do like 9-week increments, like they're 9 weeks on and then a few weeks off and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It works out really well. And that's going to be in an after school environment typically. I will say that we just got approved for Code Ninjas Cares, which is our nonprofit arm. So we can do a lot more in schools that require nonprofits now than we could before. And so we're going to be building up that aspect of our just that nonprofit, which is a foundation dedicated to kids learning more to code and doing it through whatever means possible. If we got to go pick them up and bring them to the school, if we got to, whatever we've got to do, feed them, that's what we're going to do. And so, yes, the schools can have a huge opportunity. I mean, why rewrite your own curriculum? Why take a chance on some third party that you've never heard of bringing in a curriculum and implementing it when you have a local community-based guy that's not going anywhere? We've got a retail center down the street from your school. You know where to find us. We can come in your school and offer a superior world-class product to teach your kids right there at your location.
Well, and you actually just mentioned a piece that's been kind of rattling around in my brain as you've been talking about this. This opportunity for districts or other community organizations that want to offer this, they would have to be in a community where there is actually a Code Ninjas, as you mentioned, retail spot.
Yeah. So we have about 100 open. So every major metropolitan area has one, at least one. The top 40. Most of the big ones, like I'm in Houston, we have about 6 open here now. Mm-hmm. In Dallas, it's going to be a well-dotted map as well.
Mm-hmm.
The big cities, you're not going to have a problem finding one pretty close. But yeah, generally speaking, we do need to have a location because being part of the community means you're in the community, right?
Sure,
I mean, that's what we want to do.
So that brings us to the franchising concepts you guys have, of making that happen. So you're actively looking for people to open these retail spots for you, right?
That's absolutely the case. Yeah, we've done a really great job so far of finding people. And like I said, it was the right product, right time kind of thing. And I got a great team, but we're definitely expanding. We feel like there's going to be another 100 opening this year. That's already on the books, leases signed kind of thing. We want to get up to about 600, 700 in the United States and probably another 100 to 150 in Canada in the next couple of years.
So
that is awesome. So I'm curious, what are the type of folks that you look for? You are, yes, you're teaching coding, but you are teaching coding to students. You are educators, you are teachers. So what are the kind of folks that you look for who maybe they're the franchisee owner, maybe they're not. Maybe they are the one of the instructors who work for there. I'm not exactly sure how your system works, but what are some of the qualifications? What are some of the things you look for when you are looking for folks to kind of fill these positions and grow your franchise, those kinds of things?
Yeah, it's real simple. Somebody that can follow a plan. If you wanted to have your own business, we recommend you go start your own business. If you can't follow our plan, which has been proven over 100 times to be successful, then it's just not for you. So the number one way that franchisees fail in the world, and the F word around here, fail, is not one that we say lightly.
Sure.
Number one way they fail around in any industry is that they don't follow the model. Mm-hmm. And so that's the number one thing we look for. Are you smart enough to understand what you don't know? Mm-hmm. Are you going to get out of your own way, of your own ego and your own way of doing things? That said, the most successful people within our brand build their own brand underneath us. So that is to say, they become such a big part of their community that the people within their organization locally know them as its own thing,
Sure.
right? I mean, you can look at Jesus and Jorge down in Austin, yeah. And they're doing a great job because everybody in their community knows Jesus and Jorge as the Apple guys that became franchisees that now have a Code Ninjas. But their Code Ninjas is very unique to them, right? Sure. They have all the same furniture. They have all the same pictures. They do the same curriculum. But the touch, the flair that they put into it, the passion that they put into it is completely theirs. And that's what we look for. We look for somebody that comes with their own batteries, that brings their own energy to a passion project, but also has the capacity to actually get it done.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right. So do you look for people who already have a deep understanding and or background in coding, or that's not necessarily at the top of the list?
It is not actually a requirement. We teach you everything you need to know. And let's put it another way. Right now, we only teach kids. So what's hard for a 7-year-old is easy for a 17, 27, 37-year-old. I mean, we're not making software engineers here, is what
Right.
I'm trying to say.
Sure.
Okay, we're teaching logic skills and problem solving to
Right.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
So you can read the material as they go through it, and as long as you stay a little bit ahead of them, you're good. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is. It's a little bit easier than IKEA drawings. You know, it's like just anybody can basically do it.
Right.
But that's not to say it's not valuable. It is. So I don't think that's a requirement. Obviously, if you're a software engineer and you're going to get in here and add value to our organization, we would love to have you.
Sure.
That's an obvious leg up. You didn't have to read through the material first, you know.
So let's talk about the natural progression of what you guys do. What's coming up? What's the next big thing that's about to happen for you guys?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the agenda right now. I mean, Codemasters, as I mentioned earlier, is a program that we're going to be offering to parents, teachers, in a B2B kind of environment too, for continuing education and using our facilities during the day for that. So that's a huge growth opportunity. Just from a business perspective, we have a classroom basically sitting empty for half a day until the kids get out of school. So we got to use our resources accordingly. So that's a huge deal. We're also offering reciprocity this year, which means if you sign up here in Pearland, Texas, you can go in Wisconsin or wherever you want to go, or Arkansas, wherever the case may be.
Yeah.
And so that helps a lot of people. There's a lot of split families. Just in my little block, there's two different kids actually in two different families that live in our community 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. They go between mom and dad. Sure. Well, they live all the way across town. If he really wanted to do Code Ninjas, it would be difficult for him because, he's 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off.
Sure.
So if he was localized only to Pearland and he couldn't go over to Katy or wherever across town, it becomes a challenge. So now we're given that opportunity. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a very big deal.
So it's really interesting. The build out that I see for you guys in the future. We are in the point in this country where we grew up, where you had to go to college. Got to go to college. Got to go to college. Got to go to college. You don't have to go to college anymore. This is the point where certifications and things like that fall into place. Do you see Code Ninjas as you build out? Because you're training these kids young as they graduate to the next level, as they move past black belt to stealth ninja and whatever else comes after that. Do you guys see yourselves building out the ability to let kids not only get the training and certifications they need, but even job placement from you guys, helping them with that kind of stuff?
So we do have to mind our red tape a little bit.
Sure.
Programs are called career schools in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That was the previous company that I built. It was a career school.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of red tape around that. So right now we're not saying we're not a vocational program.
Okay.
I mean, it's not part of our deal. That said, as far as traditional education is concerned, obviously that promise has been broken to a large extent.
Mm-hmm.
You have 50% of people graduating and not being able to find a job in their desired fields.
Yep.
Right.
So that promise of going in, for underwater basket weaving and then finding a job after you get out for that, it didn't work out like we'd hoped, right?
Right.
So there's going to have to be some kind of competitive landscape for education in that market that does work.
Mm-hmm.
And will we fill that gap? I went to school for 8 years in college. A lot of people call themselves doctors after that. I didn't actually graduate. I was confused. I went for biology for a ton of time, and then I went to computer science. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like me, though. They call themselves, Bill Gates and stuff. But who are these guys?
Yeah.
Right.
We found jobs. We found that our proclivities in life are good enough. Our abilities in programming were good enough to go get a job. And why would I go spend another $14,000 for a year of education when I didn't need to?
Yeah.
So I think this particular industry, very specifically, lends itself to that a lot better. Because basically, there's, what is the unemployment rate in the nation? 3.5% or something like that.
Right.
In programming, it's less than 0.5%. Like if you're a viable programmer, you basically have to be trying not to work.
That's exactly right.
Right.
You can walk out of a job into a new job.
And so with that kind of tight market, they're accepting more and more, let's say, non-traditional education sources.
Sure.
And I think that's definitely a path. And we're going to see more and more of that because, there's going to be millions of programmer jobs that are sitting empty.
Yeah. Well, and I love the fact that you guys are teaching logic. You're teaching problem solving because these are the kids that are going to take us to Mars. These are the kids that are going to build the next greatest thing that we're all going to have in our hands every day. Yeah, these are those kids.
Well, and the other side of that is, I have no idea, you've been doing this since you said, 2016, right? Mm-hmm. So you, at this point, given the age range that you deal with, you don't necessarily have longitudinal data, I would presume, that you could, figure out who went on to do what after the fact later. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that 50% of the students who come through your program never touch coding again. They never touch, it doesn't matter. But what you're giving them, though, are those critical thinking skills, the logic skills, those how do I approach this from multiple angles type skills that, frankly, that's what the companies, when we talk to companies, that's what they're looking for. A lot of companies will tell us, hey, we can teach them the hard stuff, not the concrete stuff, the tangible stuff. If we have to teach them how to run this particular machine, we can teach them how to run the machine. What we can't teach them is how to be a team player, how to think critically, how to think about what could possibly be a solution to when that machine isn't working. And I think, to me, those fundamental skills, right? A lot of people call them the 21st century C's or whatever. Those are the kinds of things that I see Code Ninjas as laying the foundation for students for years to come, long after this is a distant memory for them.
I think you're absolutely correct, because when we put a group of kids into one of our dojos, we call them dojos, not classrooms. Mm-hmm. We don't have teachers, we have senseis. Mm-hmm. So what you see happen in there is it's almost like a cathartic situation for the kids, because they've been in a traditional education space for so long that at first they're just sitting there like very straight up and like very and then they're like looking around, and all the other kids are like sharing their projects and what the regular world would call cheating. And we're saying, no, I want you to go and share how you did this. Make his game better. You bring her idea into here. Yeah. Okay, you want to have a unicorn instead of a cat? Fine.
Right.
And so we're giving them the clay to work with to build something so out of their own imagination. That's a different thing than what they've been accustomed to. And I do think that that's going to transcend what they're, whatever field they're going to go.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
David, if our listeners want to get in touch with you guys and find out more, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, the website is definitely the best way to find out more information about getting your student involved. There's, like I said, all 100 locations are open and available on the website. Right now, this month is the best month to do that, because we have a free month promo going on for the month of February. Also, if you want more franchising information, there's a very specific link called on the website, but just go to codeninjas.com, and that's the best way to get in touch.
Cool. Want to give out a shout out too for your Twitter account. It's Code Ninjas HQ, Instagram and Facebook, Code Ninjas. So if you want to find out more, hit the web. You're going to find them. Just type it in Google. I promise you, they're probably going to come up at the very first. Good SEO there. David, thank you for coming on the show. We hope to have you back sometime. We can talk more about what you guys have going on.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm April Jackson with your East Update. This week's update highlights East professional development opportunities through EU, Education Unleashed. EU is available to all educators at any school and from any grade level. These trainings cover grant writing tips, Google Basics and beyond, how to leverage social media in the classroom, and opportunities to connect with TechStart through Facebook's education initiative. If you're interested in customized and engaging professional development opportunities, follow us on social media at The East Initiative or visit our website at eastinitiative.org. This week's student composer is Beat by DJ Hubbard with their submission of I Want It All. Thanks, DJ Hubbard. I am April Jackson, and this has been your East Update.
Hey, thank you so much to April Jackson and the folks at the East Initiative for filling us in onto what's happening, some of the different programs, and I think it's very cool they feature different teachers, students, different things happening with the East Initiative. And as always, get more information, eastinitiative.org.
Hey, and we're not far away. I think we're less than a month now out from the East Conference.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to doing some really exciting stuff coming up with them, and more in the future. You definitely want to keep up with that one. It's going to be a lot of fun going to the East Conference this year, and we will definitely show up and show out, as they say.
You know, I never know exactly what you're signing us up for when you sign us up for stuff, and the East Conference, it's going to be different.
Anyway, so hey, thanks for coming on the show today. I think it's been a great one. If you'd ever like to get in touch with us, don't forget you can go to EduTechGuys, EduTechGuys.com. Go down to the bottom of the page, fill it out, or just go on social media. Look us up on Google. You'll find us. We have some good SEO going on there, which stands for Sifting Errands Online. No, I don't know what that stands for. I just say SEO because it sounds funny.
That is kind of what I do, though, now that you mention that. I really hadn't thought of it that way.
Don't forget to visit us. Let us know what's going on. Keep up with us on social media. Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the EduTech Guys, edutechguys.com.